Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today I'm going to be covering Learning Unit 2, Theme 3, which is on race, class, and identity. So when you're looking at race from a sociological point of view, we still do acknowledge the physical differences. But when we're looking at race specifically, we're looking at it within the context of society, culture, and political forces, because that is where race or any other concept exists. So when we are looking at a race from a sociological point of view, we are looking at it within these three contexts, which is society, culture, and politics, because that is where race has been used, and of course, any other concept exists as well. So when you're going to engage with the different theories of race, you're going to be looking at Kant, Hegel, Marx, as well as your consciousness, all of which you will find on page 223 in your textbooks. So when you're looking at the origins of race, where race started, why we even acknowledge race to begin with, is because obviously as humans we are social beings, so we want to be able to align ourselves or have a sense of belonging with the people that we feel look the most like us, or rather who have common interests as us. And in this case, race being one of the elements of identity construction. So it allows people to identify with other people and find that sense of belonging within a collective group. So with race in this case, that is how it was used, or rather how it started, and how people were able to distinguish themselves apart from other people. So that is the idea of us and them, the self and other, acknowledging who you are and acknowledging what similarities you have with other people, so that you could, in a sense, distinguish which group you would belong to. So when we are talking about the different theories, you'll look at Kant and Hegel as being similar theorists, in the sense that they looked at race mostly from a structural understanding of it. So with Kant, the argument here is that the human race is classified into racial groups, all of which we are familiar with. Hegel, the argument here is that physical differences doesn't determine mental differences, and biology is one factor, but it is not a determinant. So they are looking at how race came about and why we are different, but in as much as we are different, it doesn't really determine where we should be placed. It doesn't really determine much of the differences that we have. So biology is just the one factor, but it is also not a determinant. And then when you're looking at race from a Marxist point of view, so Marx looked at race also from a structural point of view, but more so how race is being used, or rather how race was being used. So according to Marx, race is just a socially constructed concept, and it was put in place in order to have people assuming the roles of the proletariat or the have-nots, and having yet another group that will assume the role of being the bourgeoisie or the haves, right? And in that, those who fall under the have-nots will be subjected to exploitation, to long hours of working, to hard labor, hard physical labor, to very low wages, and so on. So all of these would be the have-nots, right? And in that sense, race was actually just used in order to choose who will be exploited versus who will be doing the exploiting, in other words. So those are the different theorists. You will then engage with consciousness in your textbooks, like I said, page 223 in your textbooks. So we have page 228, we have race, class, and economics, where you will engage with colonialism and slavery, labor cohesion, as well as race and class post-apartheid. But what I'm most interested in looking at is race, identity, and culture. So here we're mostly interested in the extent to which the media plays in developing our understanding of race. What role does the media play in developing our understanding, our concepts, and also our perceptions of ourselves and our racial identity as well? So you find that there is quite a number of things that are happening right now in our country, where even in the world, where we have the Black Lives Matter movement. That's also something that the media has pushed a lot, right? And we are only getting to see the police brutality in the USA, and we are being told the one side of the story. But maybe, perhaps, there are more sides of the story, but the media is controlling our understanding of what is happening in the USA. There's also now a lot of talk around the dolls that are being created for young children. Those they're talking of more representation, where we are having more brown dolls versus lighter skinned dolls and so on. So all of that can tell you that indeed race is still a factor today, because there's still an ongoing debate and an ongoing discussion around race and representation as well. So our question as sociologists is why? Is race indeed a thing? Is it socially constructed? And also, to what extent do the likes of your media and the likes of your bourgeoisie use this concept of race to push whatever agenda that they may have, right? So this also goes to looking at, or rather is a direct translation of how we view ourselves as well as human beings. Do we identify? Why do we need representation? And then, as wanting representation, does that mean we will think more or less of ourselves when we engage with these different concepts, or these different things that are put up on the media, or rather in the media, that show us a different version or different understanding of who we are, or rather who we should be? So that in itself tells you that indeed race could still be an element of identity construction. And so please do go on to read this chapter on race. It's a very short chapter. Just please read up on it, and also read the case studies that are put up on page 220, page 222, as well as page 228. Those would be of interest to you. And that's it from me. In the next recording, I'll be touching on gender. See you next time. Bye.